Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
The Phoenix Suns are paying Bradley Beal $97 million to not play for him. Good gig if you can get it, I guess. Also, we look at the NFL's best in our top 100 player rankings, and the San Francisco 49ers roster is deteriorating.
I'm Peter Bukowski, starting your day with the can't-miss stories and biggest debates in sports. You're Locked On Sports Today.
Searching all major sports. Found.
Let's start with the biggest story.
The Phoenix Suns offseason house cleaning continues. Bradley Beal got hit with the wave and stretch, two wave and stretch in one offseason in the NBA, the first Damian Lillard in Milwaukee. Brendan Clean from Locked On Suns joins me now. And Brendan, it started with the KD trade. Now we've got Bradley Beal out. How did we get here with the Phoenix Suns?
How far back do you want to go? How much time do you have here? I think really it's the trade. It's the trade to get Bradley Beal that you have to go back to, because they gave up everything that they had under all the couch cushions and back in the old wallet in the drawer in the bedroom and everything that they could muster up in 2023. Shortly after Matt Ishbia purchased the team, they go for a big three model with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. They say, to hell with the new collective bargaining agreement. They literally tell ESPN we're going to blow through the second apron. They went on the record telling us they didn't care about these punitive measures. And in a lot of ways, it came back to bite them, because Bradley Beal was not good enough to hold up his end of that bargain. He was not good enough to be one of three guys making $50+ million in an environment where almost no team is built that way. You basically, if you're going to do that, one of those three guys has to be equivalent to all the role players you're not getting. You're not able to acquire because you've chosen to go this route. And so once that became clear and the fit was a problem, kind of trace back to how do they get out of this corner that they've backed themselves into? And this is what they chose.
Can I ask what may be a dumb question, Brennan? Why not do this one first and then see what Katie says? Or was that just not on the table?
I think that would have been an option, but that is another chapter of this failure over the past 2 years here in Phoenix. Goes back to February, where the Suns tried to preemptively trade Kevin Durant after failing to come to an extension agreement with him last summer. They see the writing on the wall. This team does not work. Kevin Durant holds the keys to his own future going into an expiring year of his contract, and we're going to be SOL here. Let's try to trade Kevin Durant. But they missed the part of letting Kevin Durant know that. And so they botched that relationship and that leverage as well. And so then they headed into the summer with everybody in the whole league and all their moms knowing that he was out of there. And so they had to take a trade for him. And then this was kind of the next move to be fully out of the luxury tax and reset things and try to build for the future.
So part of this is also giving Devin Booker a Texas with the dollar sign size contract in the offseason. If they're going to clean house, why not go whole hog here?
I think if you were to just ask somebody, in an analytics department or a cap department of an NBA team, or, maybe after a couple of drinks, the Suns front office, what's the right thing to do? What's like the down brass tacks right move here? It probably is trading Devin Booker. But this is an era in the NBA where they have a unicorn, not like Kristaps Porzingis unicorn, but a homegrown, out of nowhere, developed superstar who's loyal, and you just don't give that up unless you absolutely have to. And so they are betting on him to be emotionally, leadership-wise, and on the court, a guy that can be the cornerstone for the rest of his time in the NBA. And they're paying to keep him. They're paying to keep him happy, and they got to keep him all those things with the roster that they build around him and get him back to where he wants to be sooner than later.
How do the Suns show you in the next 6 to 8 months that this is actually moving in the right direction?
They took a bunch of bites at the apple with the way that they've handled this offseason, and most of them, a handful of those players that they've acquired who are young and have a ceiling that's they have not yet reached, need to get closer to that ceiling, get better, improve, fit together, click. And that's number 10 overall pick, Common Malawach, who they got as part of the Kevin Durant package. That's the 2 rookies from last year, namely Ryan Dunn, who's a 3-and-D developing, promising prospect, and a bunch of other flyers, let's call them, second-round picks and, more tweener players and things like that who have their warts. If those players can embrace new head coach Jordan Ott, develop, create an identity and a culture of what the next great Suns team is going to look like that, frankly, I already buy looks a lot more like what's winning in the NBA right now than the history we just quickly went through with the Big Three model and everything else, then I think Booker will feel good about this, and I think the team will be headed back into the right direction in the not too distant future. But there's no clear star on this team, and that's the hardest part to get. And as much as you might love Devin Booker, he's probably not good enough to be the only guy who can do those things. So that's the big question looming over all this.
You can stay up to date all year on the Phoenix Suns by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Suns on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Your Locked On Sports Today. Coming up, our experts have ranked the top 100 players in the NFL. Before we get to that, Von Miller found a new home with a contender. We've all been there. Logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. If you're tired of endless scrolling trying to find the best deal, Game Time Zone Deals pick the best seats in your section for you. And with Game Time, the price you see is the price you pay. No hidden fees. Take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, the lowest price guaranteed. 8-time Pro Bowler Von Miller has signed a 1-year deal with the Washington Commanders.
The oldest team in the league just got a little bit older, and we're okay with that. This is David Harrison of the Locked On Commanders podcast. Sources confirming Wednesday night the news that broke nationally, Von Miller is headed to the Washington Commanders. And defensive coordinator Joe Wade Jr. has got to be incredibly pleased. He's already got a lot of new pieces, a lot of rotational players to use in his defensive scheme. But one thing that everybody noted that he was missing was an elite pass rusher to help him really tie everything together. The current NFL active players leader in sacks with 129.5 to his name, will now join the Washington Commanders defense in hopes of helping them make it to the Super Bowl in San Francisco in February 2026. For more on this move and everything Washington Commanders, make sure you check out the Locked On Commanders podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team.
Over in the NBA, the Mavs might have shut down Cooper Flagg, but Dallas had the chance to showcase the other young pieces on their team against VJ Edgecombe and the 76ers.
Did I actually enjoy this win over the Dallas Mavericks? I can't believe it.
Yeah, you did. I did too. It was entertaining.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're looking at this game. Jani Broome gets a double-double. Mark Armstrong can't miss from 3 in the first half. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was. And, the crazy thing that I like about it was that, overall, Armstrong shot 50%. Kiva Luma shot 75%. Judah Mintz shot 50%. So, the guys played well. They really played well. It was hard to believe that they were undermanned, how well they played tonight.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Mark Armstrong certainly showing off his three-point shooting ability throughout this game, but really, especially in that fourth quarter, showing the aggression and athleticism as he attacked the basket.
Yeah, 2 monster dunks. It's crazy. It was 3-point shooting in the first half. And then in the second half, he was like, hold up, y'all. I got hops. And he had 2 monster dunks.
Clippers fans are now celebrating the addition of Bradley Beal on a 2-year contract.
Well, it's official. After several days of anticipation, Bradley Beal is an LA Clipper. The news coming out this morning that he reached a buyout with the Phoenix Suns. They're going to stretch his contract over the next couple of years, and he's signing with the Clippers for 2 years, $11 million. Immediately, this gives the Clippers their Norman Powell replacement. Now you have that scoring in a more dynamic way, maybe not as great off the ball in terms of movement, but you can still use him coming off screens. He can handle the ball a little bit better than Norman Powell, and he can create his own shot better than Norman Powell. The concern, now with Beal in the starting lineup, as he's reportedly been promised a starting spot, you have Harden, Beal, Collins, Kawhi, and Zoo. No true point of attack stopper there without Chris Dunn and Derrick Jones Jr. starting. Is that a concern given that almost every serious team in the league that contends starts a point of attack defender? This and more on the Bradley Beal signing on Locked On Clippers.
And the Indiana Fever were without Caitlin Clark again last night, this time due to a right groin injury suffered in Tuesday's win over the Sun. It's her 10th missed game this season, and her status for All-Star Weekend in Indy is still unknown. For now, no decision has been made, but the Fever have certainly missed her while she's been absent. Indiana just 4-5 without the Phenom and 8-5 with her. The good news is that Kelsey Mitchell is still rolling, and if Clark can get healthy, she'll be right back in time for the WNBA's brightest stage. Our experts here at Locked On recently ranked the top 100 players in the NFL. Earlier this week, I discussed the top picks here on the Locked On Sports Today podcast. The number one NFL player for 2025 is Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson, the 2023 MVP and a polarizing MVP runner-up last season with the best statistical passing season of his career. For more on the dominance of Lamar Jackson and why he landed the top spot on our list, Locked On Ravens host Kevin Ostreicher.
It is about time Lamar Jackson gets some recognition for his 2024 season. I'm Kevin Ostreicher, the host of Locked On Ravens. Lamar Jackson is the best player in the NFL, and is the top-ranked player in the NFL for a multitude of different reasons. Lamar's 2024 included 5,000 total yards. He also had 41 touchdowns through the air compared to just 4 interceptions. And if you want to include his 4 rushing touchdowns, it puts him at 45 total touchdowns. He was the first player in NFL history to have over 4,000 passing yards and over 900 rushing yards. And he also had a touchdown percentage of 8.6%, which is 6th all-time since the NFL completed the merger back in 1970. Josh Allen had a great year. He won the MVP. Patrick Mahomes, he has the rings, but Lamar Jackson, to me, is better than both of those guys right now. And since Josh Allen won the MVP and Saquon Barkley won the Offensive Player of the Year, there was no recognition for Lamar Jackson. I know there was potentially some voter fatigue in the MVP vote. There's no voter fatigue here, though, for Lamar Jackson. Very well deserved for Lamar. So for more on the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, be sure you check out Locked On Ravens on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast.
Don't worry, Chiefs fans. You're not going to have to wait much longer. Patrick Mahomes checks in at number 2, the 3-time Super Bowl champion, and I think still the quarterback most of us on the Locked On Podcast Network and most NFL fans would pick if we needed to play a football game for the future of the universe. If the aliens came, Patrick Mahomes, probably the quarterback. And if it's not Patrick Mahomes, maybe it's the number 3 player on our list, Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen, who is, as Kevin mentioned, the reigning NFL MVP. For more on why Josh Allen is behind Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, here's Locked On Bills host Joe Marino.
I hate to say it, but we absolutely got it wrong. I'm Joe Marino, host of Locked On Bills, and Josh Allen deserved to be the number 1 quarterback and player on the top 100 list. Why? Well, no player in NFL history has produced more scoring than Josh Allen. Josh Allen averages the most touchdowns per game of any player in NFL history, and he's posted 5 consecutive 40-touchdown seasons. No other player has posted more than 2 in a row, and the turnover narrative has been shattered. In his 2024 MVP campaign, Josh Allen produced the greatest season in NFL history for the lowest percentage of plays that resulted in an interception, sack, or fumble. Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes are elite NFL players, tier 1 for sure. But Lamar Jackson continues to be pedestrian at best in the playoffs when his team needs him to be at his best, and that's our number 1 player. And speaking of pedestrian, that's exactly what the Chiefs' offense has been over the last 2 seasons, with Mahomes engineering the number 15 scoring offense in 2023 and 2024. From my understanding, this isn't a legacy list. For more on the Bills, subscribe to Locked On Bills wherever you get your podcasts.
Our first defensive player checks in on the list at number 4, Cleveland Browns pass rush monster Myles Garrett. The 2023 Defensive Player of the Year has had 14 or more sacks in each of his last 4 seasons. Oh, and he just got absolutely paid by Cleveland. Speaking of getting absolutely paid, everybody in Cincinnati right now, extremely well paid, at least the best players on that offense, starting with our number 5 player, Joe Burrow. The team's success hasn't quite been there for Burrow, at least last year. But last year, he was the first quarterback since the merger to lose 3 games when he threw for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. One of the guys who helped him do that coming up in just a second on the list. But first, number 6, Justin Jefferson, the Minnesota Vikings receiver extraordinaire. He is the career leader in yards per game, 96.5 yards per game, the all-time leader in NFL history. I mentioned you wouldn't have to wait long. Jamar Chase in at number 7, coming off a Triple Crown receiving season. You could flip-flop 6 and 7, I'm sure, no problem. Well, maybe Bengals fans, Vikings fans would have something to say about that. Another defensive player checks in at 8. Micah Parsons, the Dallas Cowboys pass rusher 3 times, an all-pro. And remember, came into the league as an off-ball linebacker and almost on a lark became one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. And we couldn't go too far down the list with defensive players especially and not have Patrick Surtain II on the list. He checks in at number 9, the 2024 reigning defensive player of the year and consensus by far the highest rated corner on this list. Maybe the only shutdown corner in the NFL currently going at number 10. Running backs still matter a little bit. Saquon Barkley, the reigning 2024 offensive player of the year, leaves the rival New York Giants, goes to Philadelphia, has one of the great running back seasons, wins a Super Bowl. It's a tough one for Giants fans, to be sure. Stay up to date all year on the NFL. And by the way, more of these are coming. NBA, college, come on, possibilities are endless. So stay up to date all year on your favorite sports by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and the big podcast, Locked On NFL, Locked On NBA. We got you covered. We got you covered, Locked On MLB. It's all there for you on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Coming up, the 49ers' chances of bouncing back are slim. Well, some expect San Francisco to bounce back from last year's 6-11 season. Locked On NFL hosts Tyler Rowland and Nick Cattles are taking a hard look at the current roster, and they're not sold on that narrative.
Traded Deebo Samuel. I just feel like with San Francisco, everybody expects them to bounce back from the 6-11 season, but I feel like their roster has deteriorated a little bit from the talent level it was at a couple of years ago, and that could make a big difference.
There are just lots of questions. Ayuk, when's he going to come back? How's he going to look? Is he going to stick with the program? Because all of this extracurricular stuff that happens with Ayuk, you never know. Right around the corner, he could be mad at Kyle Shanahan, and then you've got an issue on your hands. You mentioned Pearsall. Dude got shot before the season, literally shot last year. And, he's got to step up big because now Ayuk's a question. As you mentioned, Debo's gone. Kittle's 31 years old. Run CMC. Injury history.
Can he stay healthy? Yeah.
He ain't getting any younger. We're not getting any younger. None of us are. So how much can you depend on him? I feel like Jawan Jennings is more a 2 than a 1. And that might even be high if you say 2A. Yeah, right. So that's a question mark. Trent Williams is fantastic, but he's also getting closer to 100 years old. So what is that left tackle going to look like? So they've got a lot of questions. And maybe the biggest question of all, Tyler, is Brock Purdy the guy, which is pretty interesting because they paid him all the money. But man, oh man, he seems like somebody that has to have everything perfect around him to get the most out of an offense. And now, on paper at least, there's not a lot that seems to be close to perfect surrounding him. So how is he going to respond? Can he up his level of play? And can he get other guys to be better? That's a big question to me still to this day, even though he's been the starting quarterback now for a few years for them.
Windows in the NFL are usually smaller than we think. We'll see a young team, they'll win, and the reaction will inevitably be, this is going to happen over and over and over. They're positioned for a run. And then the run doesn't come because it's too hard. Injuries are too big a factor. It's just not a long window because careers aren't very long. peaks aren't very long. You need the best players on your team to be playing at their best. To find that confluence of events, with that perfect Venn diagram of your quarterback playing his best, with your best pass rusher, with the right defensive coordinator right before that defensive coordinator gets poached to go to another team, that's really hard to find. So Christian McCaffrey, not in his physical prime anymore. Deebo Samuel, not in his physical prime anymore, doesn't play in San Francisco anymore. Trent Williams, past his physical prime, still a good player. George Kittle, past his physical prime, still an awesome player. George Kittle might still be in his peak prime. But this team has lost critical pieces, lost pass rush depth, lost defensive linemen, lost cornerbacks who were core pieces for them. You don't just replace those guys. You don't just replace playmakers like prime Deebo Samuel, prime Brandon Ayuk. What is the version of Brandon Ayuk they're going to get next year? And how many warts can Brock Purdy cover for? What about Kyle Shanahan? It feels like a team that missed its best chance twice, maybe 3 times if you count that 2021 season, to go win a Super Bowl. And now they're fighting to get back just to where they were. And I don't think they're going to get there either. And finally, Bill Belichick is firing back. After Robert Kraft recently called hiring Belichick a big risk, the legendary coach told ESPN it was he who took the real gamble, leaving the Jets to join a Patriots team $10 million over the cap with a depleted roster and internal dysfunction. Belichick said, I made it clear we'd have to change the way the team was managed, and added that others warned him to stay away. Kraft's remarks are the latest in his effort to bolster his Hall of Fame case, while Belichick, notably not yet in the Patriots Hall, prepares to take another risk by coaching the North Carolina Tar Heels this fall. If you're catching this episode after hearing your favorite Locked On show, make sure to subscribe to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Also, if you're a new subscriber to Locked On Sports Today, we're here for you with the biggest stories in sports every day. Coming up, Terry McLaurin wants to ink an extension with the Commanders, but they're entering crunch time to get a deal done. So at least until tomorrow, stay locked on sports today.
Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
For more episodes of Locked On Sports Today, go to our video on demand. Click on sports at the top of your screen. There, you'll find past episodes of Locked On Sports Today, plus other Locked On shows on demand.